You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, good choice. Today is December 9th, 2024. It's a Monday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt, and I love Central Indiana basketball. Welcome to this week's Girls Basketball Week in Review, where we talk about every single high school girls basketball varsity team that played at least one game last week in Blackford, Delaware, Grant Howard, Madison, Tipton, plus Sheridan and Hamilton Heights. And coming up at the end of the podcast, we will name our player of the week, our performance of the week, our coach of the week, and our team of the week. Then we will reveal our top 10 teams in our weekly Central Indiana Sports Report Girls Basketball Power Poll. Here's the order we're going to go in. We're going to go CIC, then the Hosier Conference, then the Hosier Heartland, then the Hosier Heritage, the North Central Conference, then LaPel, our only independent team, the Mideastern Conference, and the Pioneer Conference. We will review every single one of those teams from our area that are in those conferences, and we go by the order of the standings. So since we start in the CIC, we start with the Oak Hill Golden Eagles, who are 8-1 overall and 2-0 in the CIC. At 8-1, the Eagles are off to their best start since 2018 when they started 12-1. They beat Elwood by 40 points on the road, an Elwood team that came into the game at 6-1, and then beat Western by 4 points at home. In the 48-8 win over Elwood on Friday, Oak Hill shot 60% from the field, including 72% from two-point range. Very balanced performance for the Golden Eagles. Junior Lydia Trexler had 10, senior Alexa Meyer 9, sophomore Landry Hardman scored 8, freshman Brianna Daly 6, and sophomores Erica Newhouse and Lily Edwards scored 5 each. Trexler was 5 for 7, Hardman had 4 assists and 3 steals, and sophomore Morgan Cates finished with 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. In the 43-39 win over Western on Saturday, Liz Godfrey, a senior, led the Golden Eagles with 12 points, Trexler 8 points and 6 rebounds, Myers had 7 points and 4 boards, Hardman 5 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, and Morgan Cates finished with 6 points. To the 10-0 Alexandria Tigers, they won their CIC opener 68-34 at Frankton on Friday, then beat Taylor by 45 points on Saturday for a 10-0 start. It looks like the Tigers are the significant CIC and sectional favorites at this point, and perhaps more. They are 10-0 for the first time since 2002-03, when they started that season 22-0. As great of a week as it was, Alexandria head coach Mickey Hosier said, "The 10-0 start doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things."
I mean, as great as it is, and obviously I'd rather be 10-0 than 0-10. That's not our goal to be 10-0, and so we won our first conference game, and we're able to beat our rival and take control of the traveling trophy, and now we got to move forward, and like you said, just find ways to get better, challenge ourselves, and we have big aspirations as we move on in our season, and some of that stuff is still ahead of us, and so we can't look back. We got to look forward and try to get better every day.
This last week improved to 10-0. What do you think you guys did well, and who played well for you during the week?
Yeah, I thought Frankton did a good job. I know she had 25 points, but I thought they had a good plan against Jacqueline, and Really tried to just kind of spy her and guard her with somebody and then kind of take her away with somebody else. And so it opened up some lanes. And I thought Lily Harp and Kylan McFall both just did some good things. Lily ended up with 15 and Kylan had 8. And, Riley ended up with 7, Riley Kellums. And so, I talked to my team today at practice just about if we can get that kind of contributions from people, we're going to be really hard to beat. And so it can't just be about Jacqueline all the time. It's we got to have other people to step up and contribute. And I think right now in our season we feel good about that.
What are you looking to see this week from your team, Coach?
Well, we've traveled to Blackford, and we lost to them last year. They actually had the traveling trophy, and we really thought we had a good chance of getting it, and just didn't play our best game. And so we feel like we're a different team this year. And so now we are the hunted, and we have the traveling trophy, and we got to go on the road and try to keep it. So we're healthy. We feel good about that, and so we're looking at every single day, just trying to get a little bit better. And I like our chances on Friday.
Mississippi snapped a 5-game losing streak with a win over Eastbrook. Even at 2-5, it looks like the Indians are a top-tier CIC team. Getting off to a 1-0 start in the conference certainly didn't help. That was their only game of last week. It was a balanced effort in the 44-38 win. Senior J.C. Crick had 10 points, and she just had 5 field goal attempts. Junior Brooklyn Nash and senior Avery Wilson scored 9 each, and junior Charlie Ballage had 8. For Eastbrook, after the loss to Mississinawa on Friday, got a big needed win over Elwood on Saturday, hanging on for a 40-39 victory. That came after the 6-point loss to Mississinawa. The Panthers are now 3-5 overall and 1-1 in the conference. They played 3 times last week. First, a 42-33 loss to Eastbrook on Wednesday. And that one, they shot just 31% and were 2 for 16 from the 3-point line with 42 turnovers. Senior A.J. Brenner had 11 points, 9 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists. Senior Mia Bustos, 6 points and 15 rebounds in the loss. Then in the loss to Mississinawa on Friday, Brenner had 19 points and was 4 for 6 from behind the 3-point line. Bustos had 9 points while playing on a bad ankle. And then in the win over Elwood, Brenner had 22 of the team's 40 points. She was 10 for 11 from the free throw line. The Panthers scored 17 of their 40 points at the line, going 17 for 30. I spoke with Eastbrook head coach Alicia Griffin following both games on Saturdays and Sundays girls basketball scoreboard shows. If you want to hear what Coach Griffin had to say, please go back and listen to those. Madison Grant saw its losing streak go to 5 games on Tuesday with a loss to Tri-Central, and then snap that losing streak with a big 41-27 win over Blackford on Saturday. The Argyles are now 2-6 overall and 1-1 in the CIC. In the 53-29 loss to Tri-Central on Tuesday, the Argyle shot just 22% and turned the ball over 19 times. Sophomore Olivia Dunham had 12 points and 5 rebounds, and senior Madeline Holloway had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 steals. And in Saturday's win at home against Blackford, that final score is 41-27. Senior point guard Jasmine Rainey led the Argyles with 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting. She also had 3 steals and 2 assists. Holloway scored 10 more points on Saturday. Freshman Grace Wood had 3 points, 9 rebounds, 8 steals, and 6 blocked shots. And senior Marley Neiman had 6 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. I spoke with Madison Grant head coach Jace Martin following Saturday's win over Blackford. We also had a full game report on that one from the Action Sports Network's Grant Schaus. Go back and find Sunday's girls basketball scoreboard to hear those conversations. Frankton beat Taylor 43-27, but didn't play particularly well in the win. The Eagles were then blown out by 34 points at home against unbeaten Alexandria. There have definitely been glimpses of a good team in Frankton. but it's been a while since they've had put together a really good performance. I asked head coach Jeff Bates what he took out of Friday's loss to Alexandria.
Yeah, there were times that we played hard and you know got done what we needed to get done, but the turnovers ultimately just were our downfall. Um, and we had a lot of unforced errors. Some of that was due to Alexandria. Some of it was just due to our ineffectiveness to get the ball where we needed to get it.
And it seems like maybe your team last week took a bit of a step back. Is that fair to say?
I would say at times, yes. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well last week. So, and it was a two-edged sword. You don't shoot the ball well, and you make turnovers. Um, it You have some problems. There were some bright spots. We didn't. Our rebounding was not bad at all, uh, but we also gave up points in transition uh, more than usual. Defensively, we were decent at times. So, there were some good things, but the bad things were more than overwhelming.
Well, and you got 4 games coming up. This should be
Yep.
really, really competitive games. All 4 of them. What are you hoping to see from your team between now and Christmas time?
I would like to see a couple steps in the right direction, which would be cut down on the turnovers, protect the ball a little bit better, uh, a little harder play um, to stop transition baskets. And I'd like to see him really work at developing some of those quality shots, turning down the good shots to get a great shot.
Blackford lost its 5th and 6th straight games last week. First, a good Bluffton team beat the Bruins 73-20. Then the defending CIC champions lost 41-27 at Madison Grant in their conference opener. After starting 6-0, Elwood has lost 3 in a row, including an ugly 40-point loss at home to Oak Hill in the CIC opener on Friday, then a tough 1-point loss against reigning co-conference champion Eastbrook on Saturday. Sophomore Breland Norris scored 7 of Elwood's 8 points on Friday and 28 of their 39 on Saturday. I spoke with, here's my conversation with Elwood head coach Courtney Lickliter on Monday evening. I guess, Coach, sometimes you have to look back at a week and just say it wasn't our week. First game, you had trouble getting anything going, and then really tough loss on Saturday.
Well, Oak Hill is such a solid team, and we just really couldn't even get anything going. We didn't watch that game. We didn't talk much about it after it was over. I just didn't think we were going to gain anything from that. And with having Eastbrook the very next day, we tried to move our focus to Eastbrook. And unfortunately, with Eastbrook, there were just so many lapses in focus and what we had talked about and execution. Um, and then we overcame it all and had a lead and then proceeded to make about another half dozen mental mistakes, to end up losing the way we did. So we definitely did watch that film because I felt like there was a lot to gain from looking at the situations we were in and trying to learn from them.
But for them to come back after that loss and put themselves in position to win, that says something about your team too.
It does, and you know how coaches are. I'm probably a little bit more hard on them, or expect more, but that's because they've shown that they're capable of it. So when you see, that they're capable of it, that's what makes it so hard. And yeah, I mean, I definitely needed yesterday to kind of reflect on it and cool off a little bit and set my sights towards Tipton tomorrow.
Yeah, and putting things in perspective, you're 6-3 on the year through 9 games with some winnable games coming up. So really good position that your program's in heading into this week, Coach.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll be nice. I mean, we didn't have a ton of prep time, but one day is better than no days for Tipton, and then we'll have 2 days to prep for Madison Grant, which is really, we just aren't at that place yet where we can't have the on-court prep time.
Right.
So that'll be a plus this week that we actually were able to get on the court and practice some things.
If there was a Central Indiana Sports Award for the team that almost had a breakthrough week, that would be the Western Panthers. Western went to two tough places to play against two tough teams and lost both games by a combined 7 points. The wins are coming in Rocheville, but it was an 0-2 week in the end, and they're now a very good 2-5 basketball team. In a 49-46 loss at Carroll, senior Cheyenne Smith and junior Elise Walden had 13 points each, and sophomore Ella Rowling scored 10. And Western outscored Oak Hill 19-11 in the fourth quarter, but came up short in a 43-39 road loss. Walden finished with 14 points, Rowling had 9, and senior Rihanna Brown finished with 6. Hamilton Heights went 0-3 last week with losses to Peru, Noblesville, and Connorsville. Their 0-9 start is their worst this century. Tipton snapped a 6-game losing streak with a come-from-behind 38-31 win over Taylor on Wednesday. The Blue Devils are now 2-6. In the win on Wednesday, sophomore Mackenzie Farinella had 14 points. She's a perfect 3 for 3 at the line, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 assists, and 2 block shots. And senior Holland Wilson had 12 points and 11 rebounds, 7 of those on the offensive end, with 2 assists. Tipton head coach Lela Gillmann said the win over Taylor was a big one for multiple reasons.
It was kind of a win that we really wanted to get. Last year, we struggled a little bit against Taylor. We were up 10 points with 3 minutes to go last year, and we ended up losing. So it was one that we really wanted to get back this year.
And it was a game that you had to make a bit of a comeback. You had to have liked that from your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I called a timeout there in the first half, and I just reminded them of our scouting report and told them that if they bought in and they were ready to execute the scouting report, that they could come back and get the win. And they did just that. They locked in, they focused, and they got it done by getting one stop at a time. So really proud of them for that.
Do you feel like it's the kind of win you can build on going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked the last 4 or 5 days at practice about playing an entire game from the start, being locked in, being focused and ready to go, not creating excuses for ourselves. So it's something that we're going to try to start the game the right way this time. And it starts tomorrow against Elwood.
Now we move to the Hoosier Heartland Conference, where Sheridan won its third and fourth straight games with a pair of blowout wins at home. Frankfort by 71 points and Clinton Central by 40. They are now 6-1 overall and 2-0 in the Hoosier Heartland. It's their best 7-game start since 2020-21, when they started that season 7-1. In Wednesday's win over Frankfort, 82-11, senior Kinsey Garner had 23 points. She was 11 for 16 from the field. She also had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Senior Cecilia Timmy had 20 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 5 steals. Sophomore Brielle Garner had 9 points. Senior Shelby Eaton and sophomore Sadie Timmy scored 8 points apiece. Sadie Timmy also had 8 rebounds and 4 steals. In Friday's 58-18 win over Clinton Prairie, Kinsey Garner had 28 points, this time on 10 of 16 shooting, 6 steals, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Senior Max Smith had 9 points and 7 rebounds, all on the offensive end. Tri-Central is above 500 for the first time this season after beating Madison Grant 53-29 on the road, then a 58-9 win over Westdale at home on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Trojans are now 4-3. In the win over Madison Grant, junior Logan Creason had 22 points and 12 rebounds. Junior guard Olivia Dempsey, 12 points and 6 steals. And senior Lela Keith had 12 points. In the 58-9 win over Westdale, Lela Keith, 25 points. She scored 8 points in the second quarter and 13 in the third as the Trojans pulled away from the Warriors. I asked Tri-Central head coach Mathew about his team getting healthy and starting to play well.
I think it just working girls back in, working Angela Dempsey in, who started every game last year, I believe, who's been out rehabbing an ACL. She's back playing now, getting some minutes. We're kind of building her up as we go, but she'll be a huge addition to us for the remainder of the year. It's kind of, I think, during the Westdale game, during warm-ups, I was just kind of looking out there, kind of just happy that I saw a full squad actually warming up. And so that's kind of been, that's been nice. And it's been nice in practice to have 13, 14, where we shuttle some girls in and out. We're still getting a couple more got back this week. So, we're kind of building this thing up, and as we go into kind of the break for winter break, it'd be nice in January now to have a full squad, be able to play full JV games again. The problem is we can't find too many teams in our area that actually have full JV squad. Our JV hasn't played much this year, but our varsity is just going to get better. We can start getting creative defensively, whereas we've kind of had to be very vanilla just because of trying to protect fouls and all that. So,
what have you liked most about what you've seen the last week or so?
Seeing them not be, I think, as pressured to feel like they have to do, with getting more people back that have played varsity, they've got a lot of varsity experience. Some of those girls that had to step up, you could kind of see them take a kind of a sigh of relief that, not that they're not going to play as hard or anything, but just that that pressure that was kind of mounting on some of us through the last, 3-4 weeks kind of is relieved, and you can just see that they're relieved that they've got help and that more help's on the way. And so it's kind of fun to watch. The culture this year's been fantastic. The girls all get along really well, and, we're just looking kind of to build on it week by week.
Talk a little bit about the girls who have kind of kept things afloat while you've been waiting for these players to get back.
Yeah, I think the first two I probably have to mention are, Logan Creason, who, she fought injuries of her own last year and missed half the season. And we didn't really get a chance to really see who she was, I think, until sectional last year, when she had 25 and 15 in that game. And she's just been just a rock for us in the middle, averaging 17 and 12 rebounds a game. And then the one that's probably stepped up the most, that we maybe weren't necessarily expecting, has been Olivia Dempsey. Her scoring is way up from where it was, and she's looking to score more. She has more of the traditional point guard mentality to initiate and distribute, but just with Lela Keith being out with pneumonia for a couple weeks, and her sister Angela Dempsey not being back yet, she's really stepped in and done a great job for us. So it's just kind of it's nice to see people stepping up when we need them, and we're getting healthy. We start to get a rotation. I'm really kind of excited about where this team could go.
Eastern has won just 13 of its last 94 games after falling to 0-8 last week. with a 77-37 loss to Manchester at home on Wednesday, and a 71-32 loss at Maconaquah on Saturday. For Eastern senior Marley Cone had 24 points and 16 rebounds for the week. There were some positive signs in Taylor's 0-3 week. The Titans hung tough with Frankton for most of the game in a 43-27 loss, then led Tipton most of the way in a 38-31 road loss. Then they were beaten by 45 points by Class 2A, number 5 Alexandria on Saturday. To the Hosier Heritage Conference, Yorktown had another great week. The Tigers beat Lapel 52-39 on Tuesday, then beat up Burris 60-22 on Saturday. They've won 3 straight and 4 of their last 5, and are now 5-2. In the 52-39 win over Lapel on Tuesday, the Tigers shot 49%. Junior Lily Sylvester had 18 points and 4 rebounds. Senior Claire Hazen, 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 steals. Sophomore Alexis Fields had 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals. And sophomore Olivia Conklin and freshman Riley Johnson scored 6 points each. Speaking of Riley Johnson and the 60-22 win over Saturday, she had a career-high 17 points, almost doubled her career high, which was previously 9. She was 7 for 8 from the field, 3 for 4 at the free throw line, also had 6 steals, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Lily Sylvester had 12 points, and Claire Hazen, 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals. Delta had a 2-0 week on the heels of an 0-2 week with 2 heartbreaking losses against county rivals. The Eagles beat Winchester 57-47 on Wednesday, then earned a big 46-42 conference win over New Pal on Saturday. The Eagles are now 6-3 overall and 2-1 in the HHC. In the 57-47 win over Winchester on Wednesday, Junior Griffin Knight had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 block shots. Junior Jillian Barnes had 5 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 steals. And junior Addison Barnes had 7 points, 5 steals, and 5 assists. In the 46-42 win over New Pal on Saturday, the Eagles held the Dragons to 31% shooting and forced 25 turnovers. Addison Barnes had 20 points in the win, going 7 for 11 from the field and 4 for 7 from behind the three-point line. Jillian Barr, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 4 block shots in the win. Pendleton Heights only had 1 game last week, and it was a good one. A 59-37 win over rival Mount Vernon on Saturday. The Arabians are now 5-4 against a killer schedule. They are 2-1 in the Hosier Heritage Conference. In the win over Mount Vernon, sophomore Ada Hupfer had 16 points and 10 rebounds, and senior Casey Warfel also had 16 rebounds. We moved to the North Central Conference after a 6-0 start. Kokomo took 2 losses early last week. First was a 19-point home loss to Zionsville on Monday, then a 21-point road loss to Lafayette Jeff in the North Central Conference on Wednesday. In the Zionsville 63-44 win at Kokomo on Monday, the Wildcats shot just 29%. Senior Michaela Davis had 13 points, but she was just 4 for 16. Take away Eliana Stewart, who was 3 for 4, and Bella Richards, who was 4 for 5. Kokomo was 9 for 48 from the field. Richards finished with 8 points and 9 rebounds, and Stewart had 8 points and 7 rebounds. In the 57-36 loss to Jeff on Wednesday, Kokomo shot just 25% and was 1 for 17 from behind the three-point arc. Richards and Satara Scott scored 8 points apiece, and juniors Amara Stroman and Eliana Stewart scored 7 each. Marion beat Anderson 61-48 Tuesday for its first NCC win of the season, then took a tough 54-48 road loss at Carroll to fall back to 500 at 4-4. In the 61-48 win over Marion on Tuesday, freshman Naomi Hahn had 21 points on just 9 field goal attempts. She also had 9 rebounds, 6 on the offensive end. That is one impressive freshman. Also a freshman, Jaylee Townsend had 17 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 8 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 assists. The future for Marion is very bright. In the loss to Carroll, Hahn had 21 points on 8 of 12 shooting. That was one efficient week. She had 10 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Townsend, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Muncie Central won for the 4th time in its last 6 games with a 51-8 win over Tech on Thursday. The Bearcats are now 4-4, already doubling last year's win total. Anderson is 0-8 for the first time since 2009. That season, the Indians went 2-21. They also fell to 0-3 in the NCC with a 61-48 loss to Marion on Tuesday. On Saturday, Harrison beat the Indians 55-31. In the 61-48 loss at Marion, sophomore Araya Scott had 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals. Freshman Kayleana Simmons had 12 points, and junior Jemiah Foster, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 assists. In the 55-31 loss at Harrison, Simmons had 8 points and 5 rebounds, and senior Kennedy Brown finished with 7 points. To our only independent, LaPel was 1-1 last week. They recovered from a 13-point loss at Yorktown with a 15-point home win over University to improve to 5-5. The Bulldogs have won 4 of their last 6 games. In the 52-39 loss at Yorktown, LaPel had 5 scorers between 6 and 9 points. Sophomore Jane Armington and senior Taylor Morose led the way with 9 each. Junior Sophie Goodwin had 8, junior Lanaya Wills had 7, and sophomore Lela Dawson finished with 6. Wills also had 6 rebounds. Dawson had 4 assists and Morose 2 steals. Those were their team leaders. In the 53-38 home win over University, Lanaya Wills had 23 points on 9 of 14 shooting with 17 rebounds. Lela Dawson had 10 assists, and sophomore Jane Armington finished with 9 points. We move to the Mid-Eastern Conference. Wapahani improved to 7-1 with 3 road wins and 2 conference wins last week. The Raiders beat Blue River 57-18, Cambridge City 63-16, and Randolph Southern 57-18. In the win over Blue River 57-18 on Tuesday, Wapahani had 3 players in double figures. Junior Megan Luce had 15, senior Judy Dargo 13, and senior Kimber Abshir finished with 12. Abshir also had 12 rebounds. Junior Emily Luce had 8 points, 8 assists, 5 steals, and 3 rebounds. In the 63-16 win over Cambridge City on Thursday, Abshir had 20 points on 9 of 11 shooting, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 assists. And Emily Luce had another big game, 14 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals. And in the 57-18 win over Randolph Southern, Megan Luce had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 steals, and 4 assists. And Abshir 17 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Delville is 4-4 after beating Randolph Southern 54-31 on the road in their only game last week on Wednesday. In that win, the Broncos shot 46% from the field and had 14 assists on 23 field goals. Sophomore Olivia Pratcher finished with 26 points. She was 11 for 16 overall and 2 for 3 from the three-point line. Junior Addison Gothrop, 15 points and 6 rebounds. Sophomore Maddie Reese, 2 points and 10 rebounds. And senior Trishelle Johnson, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 9 blocks, 6 steals, and 5 assists. Cowan dropped its 4th straight game Tuesday with a 35-12 home loss to Union, then snapped that losing streak with a 31-29 win at Hagerstown on Thursday. In the loss to Union, sophomore Savannah Hall had 4 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 steals. And in the win, she finished with 16 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 block shots. Junior Alyssa Stevens had 3 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 rebounds. Westdell is 0-9 after a 58-9 loss at Tri Central on Wednesday and a 47-28 loss at Blue River on Saturday. In the loss to Tri Central, sophomore Bella Kehoe had 5 of the 9 points and 4 rebounds. And in the 47-28 loss at Blue River on Saturday, sophomore Caroline Coward finished with 15 points. She was 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 2 from the three-point line, and 5 for 8 from the foul line. And finally, to the Pioneer Conference, Anderson Prep played just once last week and was beaten 75-35 by University at home. The Jets are now 7-4 and have lost 2 of their last 3. Burris went 0-2 last week with a 37-point loss at Southern Wells on Wednesday and a 38-point loss at home to Yorktown on Saturday. And in the Three Rivers Conference, our only Three Rivers team, Northwestern, took a 47-46 heartbreaking home loss to a ranked Carroll team on Tuesday. Then Northwestern lost its third straight game, 59-26 at Whitco on Saturday. Saturday's loss drops the Tigers to 2-5 overall and 0-2 in the Three Rivers Conference. In the loss to Carroll, senior Anna Bisher had 15 points, 6 assists, 5 steals, 4 rebounds, and 2 block shots. And senior Berkeley Ray had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 assists. Coming up here in just a moment, we will have the Central Indiana Sports Report weekly honors. But before we do that, I just want to remind you to please go like, subscribe, or follow at Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, Spotify, and now at YouTube. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report, and it will take you right to it. The Central Indiana Sports Report win of the week came from the Alexandria Tigers with a 68-34 win at Frankton on Friday. It was an expected win, but it was also still a big one. It was Alexandria's conference opener, Mickey Hosier's 100th win as the Tigers head coach, and they claimed the conference traveling trophy for the first time in a long, long time. And it was Frankton, a program that the Tigers have had trouble beating over the last couple decades. The Central Indiana Sports Report girls basketball coach of the week is Yorktown's Leanne Bargy, who led the Tigers to wins over LaPel and Burris last week. Her team is now 5-2 overall, has won 3 in a row and 4 of its last 5. The Central Indiana Sports Report performance of the week came from Delta junior Griffin Knight, who had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 block shots, and the Eagles' 57-47 win over Winchester. The Central Indiana Sports Report player of the week is Sheridan senior Kinsey Garner. She shot 66% from the field and averaged 25.5 points, 5.5 rebounds, 4.5 steals, and 4 assists in a pair of Blackhawk wins last week. And the Central Indiana Sports Report girls basketball team of the week is the Wapahani Raiders. The Raiders went 3-0 last week, outscoring their opponents 177-52. They also improved to 5-1 in the Mid-Eastern Conference after wins at Blue River and Randolph Southern. They are 7-1 for the second time in the last 3 years. And finally, to our power poll. First, our honorable mention, or what we call our just outside of the top 10, Eastbrook, Elwood, Frankton, Marion, and Western. Coming in at number 10, ranked for the first time this year, is the Muncie Central Bearcats. They are 4-4. They've won 4 of their last 6 games after winning only 2 all of last year. The Delta Eagles come in at number 9. They bounced back from back-to-back losses by a combined 3 points last week by beating Winchester and New Pal this week. LaPel is 5-5 and dropped 2 spots from number 6 to number 8. It's been a very tough schedule for Lapel, but the Bulldogs have won 4 of their last 6 and beat University by 15 points on Saturday. Wapahani moved up 2 spots from number 9 to number 7. The Raiders had a pair of 3-game winning streaks already this season. At number 6 is the Yorktown Tigers. They're also up 2 spots this week. They've won 3 in a row and have big wins over Delta and Lapel the last couple of weeks. Kokomo falls from number 2 to number 5 after their first 2 losses of the season after a 6-0 start. Of course, the losses came against very good Zionsville and Lafayette Jeff teams. Oak Hill moved from number 5 to number 4. The Golden Eagles are 8-1 and had another strong week, beating Elwood 48-8, and then a close 4-point win over Western. Sheridan moved from number 4 to number 3. The 6-1 Blackhawks have a huge Hoosier Heartland contest coming up Thursday at 6-1 Rossville. Number 2 is the Pendleton Heights Arabians. They moved from number 3 to number 2. Big win for them Friday, beating Mount Vernon by 22 points. And staying at number 1 is the 10-0 Alexandria Tigers. They're 10-0 for the first time in 15 years and are beating teams by an average of 34 points per game. Thanks to Alexandria head coach Mickey Hosier, Frankton head coach Jeff Bates, Elwood coach Courtney Lickliter, Tipton coach Lela Gillmann, and Tri-Central coach Mathew for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. Thanks to all of our coaches. They've all been so good to us so far, and we really appreciate it. And thanks most of all for you for listening. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us so you don't miss a single segment. Please go do that now at SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or now at YouTube. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report. And please tell a friend. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.